What we're going to do before we get to mounting the tire back on the rim, we're going to take a little side step here. And the reason being is that if you're new to putting mousses on and don't know much about mousses, I'm going to kind of explain some situations, because the number one question I always get asked is, how much PSI is it? You know, what does it relate to a tube? Well, you know what? There's a lot of variables, and there's a lot of variables that people don't tell you about. And I'm going to explain step by step what I'm talking about, and then we'll take it from there. First of all, each tire manufacturer doesn't make it the same size carcass. They come in, it could say a 110 100, but a Pirelli 110 100 is a little bit taller, maybe a little bit skinnier. This is a Bridgestone, Dunlop, Kenda, Maxxis. They all come in different sizes, okay? So you have to take that in consideration. Also, when you get your mousses, the mousses come in different sizes. So it just adds more variables to it. Now, and for an example here, this mousse here I ordered up, it's a Michelin. It's a desert mousse. It comes extremely big for like a 140 style tire. Well, I don't really use a lot of big tires anymore, so this one is just rotting right now because it's going to shrink. Over time, these mousses shrink. I've had them to actually go to where they fit on a bicycle from a 21 inch all the way down over, you know, say 10 years. I like to store these things in a plastic bag, you know, in the attic, somewhere cool. Sometimes if your attic's not insulated, it's going to be pretty warm, but it will keep it from dry rotting. As you can see, some of it's dry rotting right here. A trick that I like to use is a 18 inch to a 19 inch. I always like to use 18 inch size mousses, because it seems to me when I used 18 inch mousse, it stretches just perfect in a 19. It gives a really good feel. It's not too firm, but it's firm enough. A lot of times I use the 19 inch mousses, they're always too soft. They break down too quick. Putting the mousse in, and this is kind of what I do. So going back to different size tires and so forth. So you get your mousse. This is kind of a 140. We're using some smaller mousses here. It's just an example. So you see it's not all the way around. I stuff them, and the reason why I do is because since every tire is a different size and every mousse is a different, you know, size, and it's we have to stuff it to get the feel that you want. So here's a mousse here that I've cut, and we're going to throw this into the tire. Okay, now I just cut this thing, and if you can see, there's like a 4-inch gap. Okay, so what I'll do is, over the years I've had some extra mousses laying around, and what we'll do is we'll shove it in here like so, and then we'll stretch it and put as much tension as possible and run it down inside here. Okay, so that makes that tight. It makes the mousse last twice as long. When it's a brand new mousse, you sometimes don't have to get away with, especially if you're using a smaller size tire. But over time, the mousses will break down and they start getting smaller and they get softer. So then that's when you cut it, and you can add some more mousse, and you can pull it and get it tight again. And you can get 6 months, 8 months, depending on how hard you really ride, out of a mousse. Sometimes the mousses will get hot spots on them. Say for this front mousse, you get some hot spots. What you can do is not the end of the world, but that's showing the decline of the mousse. Sometimes you can just cut this out, and this one happens to be all the way around. But if it was a situation like this, I would just cut this out and use the good part of the mousse and stuff it with some more good mousse. You can see this one here is shrinking. This one has about 6 months on it. It's starting to shrink, and it's starting to get worn out. Another thing too is when you're prepping the mousse, I like to use the tire soap that we sell. Number one, that it's water soluble, but the mousse stuff, the mousse lube that they sell with the mousses, with Michelin, Golden Tire, they have it's more like a Vaseline style, and it might be better than the tire soap that I use. But after you do mousses over and over, you'll realize that you'll go back to the tire soap and that mousse lube. That mousse lube, when you put it on there, it's like Vaseline, and turn black. And it's like having black wheel bearing grease in your tire. So when you go to pull the mousse out of your tire, it gets over everything. It gets your clothes, your elbows, your hand. It's a nightmare. The reason why I use tire mounting soap is it's soap. So when it comes out of the tire, it comes out black, but you take it to your hose and you can wash it off, and it comes clean just like this instantly. If you have the Mousse lube, you'll sit there forever trying to get that stuff off, and it's absolutely a nightmare. Sticking it in a plastic bag is a nightmare because it sticks when you're trying to shove it in. Okay, so that's the reason why I use the Mousse lube. Putting the tire soap in the tire is another thing that I need to talk about. What I like to do is put a lot of the tire soap onto the tire itself. It seems like it will stick better. So you grab a bunch of tire mounting soap and you just run it inside the carcass of the tire. You want it dry because it'll stick better. If this is wet inside, it's just gonna be really slippery. It won't stick. You want it to stick like that. You want it to be a paste. You want as much as possible. Remember, this stuff is not that expensive. So, and when you're all said and done, it'll ooze out all the excess, and you can take it, save it, put it back in the bucket, and but you want as much as possible. For the fact that when you wash your bike a lot, the water will go through the nipples, and eventually water will get inside, and then some of the soap will start dissolving. So you want to start out as much as possible. In addition to lubing up the tire, give the mousse a little bit of a lube also, mostly on the outside, because when you shove it in, if it's on this side, it's going to squish out to the front anyway. So basically you're worried about on the top side of the mousse, and just basically go around it and give it a nice thick coating like this, and just work your way all the way around, and then shove it in the tire. Okay, now we're going to, once the mousse is in the tire, come around here on this side and then squish as much mousse lube as you can down in the cracks. Okay. This is a messy job, but I like to run it down inside here as much as you can. As you can see, a lot of it squished out when the mousse went into the carcass of the tire. Okay, that's pretty much what that thing should look like. I hope you guys enjoyed that instructional video. If you have any questions or have any issues, any problems, feel free to give us a call. You can call us at ZipTy Racing. You can go to our website at ziptyracing.com, or you can check us out on Facebook. And thanks again.